Welcome everyone to Pageant POV. I'm your host Laura Hernandez and I'm really excited for our guest tonight. She is a powerhouse in pageantry in the UK, in my opinion. She is known for her elegance and her passion in pageantry, and we're here tonight to find out more about her journey and to get to know her more as a person. So please, everyone, welcome Romy Simpkins. How are you, Romy? Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How you doing?
I am very well, thank you. Just recovering from COVID and a cold because why have one when you can have two for one, you know?
Oh gosh, you're a strong cookie, so you got through it. Well
I know.
done, you.
So please, how are you? Please introduce yourself a little bit for those of you that don't know you.
Yes. So hello, I'm Romy Simpkins, and I am the reigning Miss Global England. I was crowned last month, the 20th of September, and I will be representing my beautiful country at next year's international final of Miss Global. So super excited for that. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to go into a little bit more about that and my journey, like you said.
We will, because there's a reason why this section is called the Royal Tea, because we want to get to know obviously your current journey, but also you as a person. So first of all, how are you feeling now that the dust has settled and that everything is like sinking in and it's like, oh my God, I won this competition that I have so hard for, and now I'm gonna be representing England in an international show. So please tell us, yeah, how are you feeling?
I feel relieved. I'm not going to lie. I felt really good, confident leading up to the final. But when it got to the day, that thought sometimes kicks in. And there was five of us, but oh my goodness, the caliber was exceptional. And I will give a heads up to all the other finalists. They were amazing, and I got on with them so well. And I remember in the interval going, I don't know what's going to happen. I felt like I had a good interview. I was happy with my stage performance, but yeah, it was kind of the unknown. So when I actually got the result, my reaction said it all. I was just like crying. I couldn't stop crying. But now it's kind of settled. I think what I know is that the hard work doesn't like stop. It actually probably should be harder because there's a whole new ball game of things to consider now for international. So I've had a little time to reflect, and now I'm just slowly starting to think about, okay, get my list together of what are the essential needs, and I'm just looking forward to catching up with my director to go through things, and she's a very busy lady herself, but see where we go on this amazing journey.
Which, by the way, guys, two things. First, my iconic background, because it's Halloween, and anyone that knows me knows it's not an obsession, I'm just healing my inner child, okay? I love anything Stitch, so please and welcome. This is my co-host.
I really want to step in and just say that I love Stitch as well, to the point that I try and do the actual voice. I love trying to attempt animation voices, and I always try and do Stitch. I don't know if I should do it now, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, it actually wanted to do it.
I can try, I don't know. I can try. Ohana, what is it?
Ohana means family.
Ohana means family.
Ohana means nobody gets left behind.
And the second thing is that, I don't know if you guys realize, but her director, it is the current Miss Universe Great Britain. So we have two powerhouses here. Like, how does that feel, knowing that my director she's gonna be stepping in one of the biggest stages very soon?
Yeah, no, I think we were talking just before we went live about how Miss Universe is like such a pristine pageant, and a lot of girls want to go for that. And to actually have your director going for that experience, I think what I can take away from it is that she's going to give me a wealth of knowledge, and she's been to other internationals before as well. So I think this is actually a great like partnership, and one that's quite different to the other experiences I've had in terms of she's been in the shoes, she knows how internationals works, she's been a contestant herself, which I love. So yeah, she'll have like more knowledge of what to expect on a candidate perspective, as well as being on the other end as a director. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to being able to work with Danny more.
I think that it is so cool that I see Miss Global becoming one of those Grand Slam pageants, and I think having somebody like your director, Danny, can you take us back? So we're gonna go back in time. We're gonna do all the. I'm just gonna add all the funny effects and the sounds and like rewind. Take us back to where it all started. So, how did you get involved in pageantry? Why did you want to get involved in pageantry? Like, what was the tickle? Like,
Okay. Yes, so we are going back quite a while now. Back all the way 2012.
wow.
So I always, since I was literally a toddler, was into performing arts. I especially liked dramatic arts. Like, put it this way, I did my first Lambda exam at the age of 4, and I think I got honours, and I didn't even understand what that was. So I've always had a love for performing. And then growing up, obviously, you start to focus on education, career, and everything like that. And I was having a moment of reflection. I just turned 18, and I was like, Mum, I know I'm focusing on my studies right now, but I really miss being on stage. But the difference is I don't want to be an act. I want to be me. What can I do? And we literally, I'll never forget it. We sat downstairs at the same desk, and she turned around and looked at me and went, "Have you ever thought about a pageant?" I went, "A pageant?" I was like, "What? Huh?" I was a bit like, I kind of had the idea of what it might be, but I never really thought about it in that way. So literally, we just went onto Google. I think we typed in pageants in UK, and we saw the top one come up. We looked at each other and went, "Let's just click it." We had a little browse, and we're like, "Right, there's an application." And I remember saying to my mum, I know what I'm saying, but I'm scared that I might not like hear back. So if I tell you what to say, can you write it up?" I remember telling her what to say, and she wrote it up, and then she like submitted it for me. I was like, "Okay, don't think about it." And then the next thing you know, I got like an interview to go and have a chat. And I had to go to this time. I had to go to London, if I believe I'm right. So yeah, and had a interview. And then I remember, and I'll tell you which pageant it was in a second. I remember getting a letter, a massive pack in the post. And I remember going, "Gosh, that's a really large rejection letter." And then when I opened it up, I was like, I remember screaming and running up and down my stairs, like, "I've got in!" And that pageant was Miss Universe Great Britain.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so my first one was Miss Universe Great Britain. I don't think I knew quite the extent of how big
At the
it
time,
was. And then until after I was actually competing, and I was like, okay, there's me with a dress that I think would have been a prom dress in my eyes, because I didn't get prom, which is funny enough now because I own a dress shop with specialising in proms and
me
pageants.
neither. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that in a minute as well, but me neither,
Yes.
because we don't do prom in Colombia.
But you do the age 50, you do the big
So
birthday
we
at
do
15.
the quinceañera,
Yep.
which is the version of you sweet 16.
Yep.
Do they do that in England as well?
I've had a couple of customers in my shop actually, so yeah, they always want the
Exciting.
biggest ball gowns. But
I always joke because I was like, oh my God, thank God we didn't have a prom in Colombia because somebody would have invited me, and I was like, oh, it's not very feminist of me. I was like, I could have gone on my own, you know what I'm saying? But yes, we do not have prom in Colombia, but we get to see all the American movies, which is obviously probably the most common thing. And I was like, oh, prom, like yeah. And like anyone, I think that it's such a funny thing. Anyone that doesn't know pageantry, because there are people that don't even know what the word pageant means, and they look at us and they're like, "Are you guys going to prom?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, yeah, why
yeah,
not? I
you
guess."
should see the dress. Like I've to be honest, I've still got my dress from my first pageant.
Love it.
I can't, no matter what. Can't say I'd really wear it again because it's strapless, it's sequined, it's pink, it's very frilly. I had platinum blonde Barbie hair at the time, so I I think I
May
was
I
just
have the
living in my.
photo? I mean, if you're comfortable with it.
I have to find one. It's probably some very blurry old photo somewhere. But yeah, I can't bring myself to ever sell it because it brings back those memories. But yeah, I didn't get a prom either because my school vouched for a beach party. I live by the seaside where the beach is like the standard place to go in the summer. So I remember being, oh, well, that's a bit, that's not very like
Different.
exciting, you know? And what was funny is at school I was incredibly shy and reserved, and I thought, oh, do you know what, prom would have been a great way to like actually show myself outside of school, like in a confidence in like my glam, because I loved even since a young age, I loved like wearing makeup. I loved wearing heels. I loved having my hair done, everything like that. So like, it was a shame I didn't get to. So I think pageants was just this blend of me wanting to be on stage, being myself, who I truly felt I am, but
Hmm.
also I've always done a lot of charity work as well. So that ever since I was like really young, like shoebox appeared at school, all that kind of stuff. So it just blended everything into the mix. And then I actually did that pageant. I went away for a year. I moved to Australia
Hmm.
to experience life elsewhere down under. Yeah, and then when I came back, because I was on a work visa, I was like, right, what do I do? So I entered Miss England and did the Miss Dorset heat and won that. So I went straight to nationals.
Yeah.
And then in that time, I have just kept going. I then did another pageant for a bit of practice, which actually led me to go to an international called Miss Global International. And so this will say this one is different to obviously what I'm representing now.
Yes.
And that was back in, so Miss England and Miss Global International all happened in 2015.
Mhm.
I feel like it's been a bit of a whirlwind for me, I'm not going to lie, because then the next year I entered Galaxy. And this was the time when there was like 50 representatives just for the England title. When,
Wow.
like, yeah, it was like a big number. And I remember my really close friend at the time, Steph, and she came second, I came first, and Zara Naughtley won. And I thought, well, I'm not sure if I would go back if Steph's going to go back and if she won the next year. So I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what to do. I wasn't really known in pageantry at this time because I'd obviously came away for a year or so, a couple of years basically. So when I did Galaxy, I think that's when I think once you've done a Holly pageant, people start to
Hmm.
know you.
Hmm.
And coming third in 50 was quite an achievement. I was proud, but I was a bit like, what are these other pageants? And I remember walking around the audience at Galaxy, and I saw a girl with a blue sash on, which was Sharon Gaffer actually. And I remember asking her, "I'm really sorry, but what's the sash you've got on?" And she went, "Oh, this is Power Pageant." And I was like, "What's that?" And then she explained it's like four big titles. It was at the time Miss International UK,
Hmm.
Miss Grand England, Scotland, Wales, Miss Intercontinental England, Scotland, Wales, and World Supermodel UK. And I was like, oh wow, so you can win any of those potentially if your scores are high enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And I said, but that's only like four months away. And at the time, I had a coach and my mum, and they were like, do it. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can bring myself because obviously I didn't get the result from Galaxy. But I think
Oh,
everything
Andy.
happens for a reason. I looked up each system and I thought which one at that moment, bear in mind this was 2016, so we are nearly at 10 years ago. I remember thinking, which one can I see myself most at? And I was like, I need to be on the Miss International stage in Japan. And that is where I see myself. I watched
Hmm.
Sophie, I watched Victoria Tubin, I watched them all, and I was like, yep, that's where I need to be. And I felt at the time I worked incredibly hard. I think I did over 100 appearances in the space of those 4 months. But it's not all about appearances, but that was like my thing to go on full pelt. And yeah, I was really, really fortunate because that year was, I'll tell you something else in terms of like who I was up against. I was up against like Chloe Other, I was up against Rachel Tate, who actually was in the end my coach in years later, and she was incredibly experienced, and a few others. And I was like, my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I did it. I managed to get it, and I won Miss International UK in 2016, and I did go to Japan that year in the October, and then after that, this is, I feel like I could go on all day about this, but we'll get there. We'll get into the main part.
That's what we're
I,
here for, to get to know your stories.
but
And
I
also,
think it,
I'm the owner of Pageant POV, so I do what I want, so you know what I'm saying.
I think I will say what this shows is that, you shouldn't give up. You have to keep going. Don't just try one, try lots, because you never know until you try. And until you've actually gone into that system, you'll never truly know what was best for you. So when I finished my reign for Miss International UK, I decided I wanted to go back for Miss Universe Great Britain. I did it in the 2018. I
Hmm.
didn't place, and it is what it is. And I had coaching in the Philippines. I had a Leo Almado dress. I did everything. I felt great. I didn't think I could do myself personally any better, but actually upon reflection, you can always do better. And I think I've definitely reflected on that time that I was going through a bit of like a difficult relationship, which actually brings me into like one of my things that I strongly advocate for, which is like narcissistic like abuse and coercive control, because that's something I just came out of at the time. And then I believe that everyone kind of has a plan. So they're like, kind of, they think about, okay, well, if this doesn't happen, what can I see myself next doing? And my next one was actually going to be Miss Supranational England or UK at the time. But my director at the time was Bernice. And I remember speaking to her and I was like, look, I've just done MUGB, but I think the production for Miss Supra is incredible. It's in Poland, I know that. And I again did my little bit of research. And she was going to run a national final. And again, I remember seeing the finalist group. We all came up on the Facebook and I was like, okay, so this is who I'm up against. And it's one title, it's not 8-4. And then about a month later, she spoke to me and she said, look, Romy, I'm really not very well at the moment. I don't think I'm going to be able to be in a position to run a UK heat or a national. And I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. And she actually offered me the opportunity to represent England, UK at Miss Supranational. So I did. So I went, yeah, I will say this now, like, Bernice, bless her, she's actually no longer with us. She did pass away a few years back. But if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had that experience. So I think everything happens for a reason. And she saw something in me, which I will always like respect and appreciate her, for that. And hopefully I did her proud. I did do Supra. It was incredible. I made the most loveliest set of friends there, literally ones that have now gone on to Miss Universe and other pageants and everything. And they were so nice. It was quite intense. It was a 3-week pageant in Poland.
Wow.
Beautiful hotel that we stayed in. Production was insane. And yeah, so I did that. And my title stuck around for quite a while because of Bernice's illness and other things. The directorship changed, and over the years it changed again. And I ended up having that title for a good couple of years until the next person was crowned. And then I was like, okay, we're now in COVID. I was like, what's happening? And I was getting to the age of 28, which at the time, this was going on nearly 2020, 2021. I was coming up to the cutoff age for a lot of the systems, which sounds crazy, but it was the case. And I remember thinking, what can I do? And a couple of them, I did miss the cutoff because of COVID affecting dates and everything like that. So I was like, right, if this is it, if this is not necessarily my last pageant, because never say never, I'm no way ever going to probably retire. It was just more, what's one that I can see myself going in with a bang and making a statement. So I did my research again, and one that stood out to me was, fun enough, Miss Intercontinental. It had changed directorship from when I did it in Power Pageant. So I reached out to Lily at the time, spoke to her, she's done it herself. And yeah, I was like, yeah, this is the one. I'm going to do it. And yeah, I think the final kept going back because of COVID, and in the end it was a virtual, and so it was about 10 of us on a virtual, so we had to submit our videos and everything. We did a Zoom interview with judges, and I remember going all the way to Wales. I live in Bournemouth, for anyone who doesn't know. I live in the south of England. I travelled to Wales to have a makeup artist do my makeup for my interview, because the face boss, she's a legend. And I did my interview in a Premier Inn, and then I travelled home whilst I waited for the results to come on and everything like that. And I do remember watching the pageant in my dressing gown, thinking, maybe I should put on a dress, just in case anything happens. So I quickly, in the interval when it was just waiting, I popped on a dress, and yeah, I raised £700 for Women's Aid. I became an ambassador for them. And yeah, I did 70 appearances virtually during COVID, which was tough, but it's manageable. So yeah, I did that. And that was probably, apart from now this, that was probably my biggest victory in pageants, because when I went to the internationals, I ended up placing 3rd out of 72 countries.
I mean, that is huge.
And I came away with the Europe title. So did not expect it. I generally was in shock. And because I'll never forget, the top five had to do a onstage question. And when I was waiting for the day, I was blessed. My mum came out to support me. I went and met up with her just before. She was like, "I think you should maybe practice a top five question." I went, "I don't think I'm placing. But I'm enjoying the experience, the organisation. They were very friendly and accommodating." So I was like, "No, no, I'll have a think, but I don't think that's going to happen." And then when actually came to top 20, we did a catwalk. I was so in shock. I didn't even think anything more. So when it came to actually announcing the top five and becoming Miss Europe, the first thing they said is, "Are you ready for the top five question?" I was like, no.
No.
I was like, I did not expect this. Yeah, short and sweet my answer was, but it reflected a lot based on my interview that I had with
Okay.
that. And yeah, that was it. Actually, now since being crowned Miss Global England, between this pageant and that one, which was in 2021, it's been nearly a 4 year gap
Yes.
for my own pageant journey, because I actually have been a national director for the last like 6 years, running my own national system, which was Miss Atlantic.
Okay.
I also ran for 1 year Miss Mission Great Britain, and I also ran Miss Intercontinental Great Britain. So for 2 years in a row, I was able to take three at a time to represent England, Scotland, and Wales at Intercon based on the experience I had. Yeah, I've never really been out of pageantry. I just took a step back from me to compete and allowed others to have the experiences I've been able to have. But there was always that part of me like was like, I'm not retired and I'm never giving up. It's just I've got to see it through. And to be honest, Miss Global, going to the main thing now, is one that I've known about since 2018, and over the last few years I've looked into it quite a lot. You can be up to the age of 35, so I am in the threshold. But
Okay.
what I love about Miss Global, the production looks insane, I will say that, but it aligns a lot with my own personal morals and values. And I have actually had communication with the internationals before about
Mhm.
potentially representing.
Yeah.
Timing for me, I believe, like, you know, everything happens for a reason. Like I said, trust the timing of your life. And I've been really focused on being a director and also setting up my business, owning a dress shop. I felt like the timing just wasn't right in terms of giving myself enough preparation. But so I explained that to them. I didn't want to be a further director. So I was like, you know what? I hope they find someone to take on this incredible system. I would love to represent, hopefully one day, what will be. So when I saw Danny actually announced it, I was like, it's happened, because
Fine.
we've never had a national final before for Miss Global for England or Scotland or Wales. So I was like, this is the first. And I was like, this is a sign.
Mhm.
It's here. I just in January this year, I just had like finished my accomplishment of being a director. I've put it to one side. And I was like, right, now I can focus on my career and myself.
It's
And
me time.
so yeah, I was like, it couldn't have come at a better time for me. And you know when you just can feel like there has to be a reason for this, you know? And so yeah, the genuine when I actually won, the tears were real. It was that like overriding sense of I've done it. I've actually done it. Because what I stated in my interview is, yes, people have, like I have, had the opportunity to represent England, Scotland, Wales before by being elected and things like that. And that's fantastic and great if you've managed to accomplish that. But I felt this time I wanted to earn it. Like I wanted people to realize Romy deserved to win this, or Romy is one that could be a good representative. That's what I wanted to achieve from this, you know. I wanted to be like, yeah, I did work hard for this. I didn't just get it. So that's why I was like, right, I'm doing it. So when I won, I was like, it was worth it. The sweat, the tears, you know, everything in between.
Yeah, for
It
the
was worth it.
dedication, all of it. Your story is so, so inspirational. I think that, wow, you have the record to be like, no, I've been here, I've been here for quite a while. And I think that I'm a big believer, and and I know it sounds like one of those cliche phrases of like, timing is everything, but I'm like, no. timing is everything. And I will use myself as an example for a second. I had one thing in life